Hey there, I'm Lisa Doyle with the Doyle team here in our East Bay. Hope that you're doing well. So hey, I wanted to share with you guys, I know I love to share tips and tools about real estate. As things come up, especially I can share kind of what other people are going through. So one of the questions that we get all the time from home sellers when they're planning to sell their homes is, should they do their inspections up front? Or do you wait for a buyer to come in and do them after we are in escrow, you've accepted an offer, and then you have the buyers do the inspections? What I would tell you is just in the last 30 days, I've had this happen twice. Back in the old days in our East Bay, the typical standard practice was that a home seller would come on the market, buyers would write an offer, get an offer accepted, and then the buyer, would get their own inspections. The two bad things about that is A, the seller goes into this with their eyes kind of closed as far as what items could come up. And B, when a buyer does that, sometimes they take you off the market, they negotiate a price with you. After the inspections, then they spend the next 2 weeks trying to, what we call affectionately, round two negotiation. The benefit of having those reports done up front is you, the seller, go into this with your eyes wide open. The buyer knows up front whatever issues are there. You as the seller can either, decide if you're going to repair any of those minor items or any of the items, or if you just disclose them and the house is sold as is. Just because you get those inspections done doesn't mean you have to do a bunch of repair work. But you then go into the situation negotiating your price, knowing what's going on with the house rather than with your kind of like unknowns. And then a bunch of disruption sometimes takes place once those reports are done. So I would tell you I've had twice in the last 30 days where the buyer does their own inspections. We find some problems. The buyer has concern. And then it just makes it such an emotional, almost chaotic situation sometimes with home sellers and buyers. So my recommendation is, the standard practice is you prepare your home for sale, you make any minor adjustments that you plan to make, you get your inspections done prior to going to market, you go in aware of any recommendation items. You can also ask questions of the inspector, understand what's going on. You provide those inspections to the buyers before they write an offer. They go in with their eyes wide open, you go in with your eyes wide open, and it's a much smoother, much less stressful process for both parties. Get them done up front. The one question that I do get from home sellers often when we have this discussion is, all right, so I provide all these reports up front. Does the buyer then want their own as well? And I would say to you, sometimes yes. The buyer does have the right, if they choose, to go ahead and hire their own inspectors, come in and do a second inspection. But that is not the norm. That is not the common practice. Does it happen? Sure, sometimes. But I would just tell you, you are so much better off knowing up front than you are being surprised after your house is off the market. And the buyer then kind of has you in a place where you are, a little bit held hostage while they then sometimes make demands of you. So I would just tell you, as a buyer and a seller, you're better off knowing up front. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Again, I'm Lisa Doyle. You take care. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.